All right, good evening and welcome to our final episode of To The Point for the year 2024. Before we break for the festive season, and what better way to wrap up the year than talking about something that we all love, and that is food. And not just any food, we want to explore how to enjoy the festive season while still embracing healthy eating. Now, with that said and done, our team of reporters have been up and about to ensure that you are up to date with matters shaping your world. TV47 Weekend Edition begins now with the headlines. Tonight, 7 people die in a road accident along the Narok-Bomet highway.
Naona gari ilifika hapa inaanza kuyunga kwa para. Ikayunga ikagonga mahali.
26 others sustained injuries in an accident involving a school bus and a matatu. Also tonight, President Ruto urges Kenyans to stop the spirit of negativity towards their own country.
We cannot build this nation on falsehood, on fake news, on disinformation.
Plus, former Deputy President Gachagua now goes for private security after his security was withdrawn.
Wewe unajua hao watu walitupiga. Picha zao ziko. Most of them have criminal records. Why are you not arresting them and taking them to court?
As he accused the government of failing to arrest those responsible for Limuru chaos. And doctors plans to hold a peaceful demonstration in Nairobi tomorrow to protest the delay on implementing a return to work formula. All right, welcome to this live broadcast once again. Catherine Simalo is our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is Odida, and we are live on our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. 22047 is our SMS line. Let's get started. Now, 7 people died in a road accident Saturday evening along the Narok-Bomet highway. 26 others were injured in a horrific collision between a school bus and a matatu in Olonen, Narok County. According to police, the Mesabisabi Secondary School bus was en route to Bomet, while the Narok-bound line services matatu was heading in the opposite direction when the crash occurred. Lennox Sengre with the details.
Twisted metal and shattered lives. This was the grim aftermath of a deadly accident along Bomet-Narok Highway in the Olenin area. According to police report, 7 people lost their lives, while 26 others sustained injuries in the tragic collision involving a school bus from Mesabisabi Secondary School traveling from Narok to Bomet and a Narok line services matatu. Eyewitnesses described the horrifying moments, claiming that heavy rainfall and reckless overtaking by the school bus driver led to the fatal crash with the oncoming matatu.
Tunatoka Masai Mara, maneno ya kanisa. Tunakuja huko Jumapili, leo ndio wakati tunarudi nyumbani. Naona gari ilifika hapa inaanza kuyunga kwa para. Ikayunga
3 passengers in the matatu died on the spot, while 3 others succumbed to their injuries at Ololunga Hospital in Narok. On Sunday, the death toll rose yet again after a child succumbed to the injuries.
Tulikuwa watu 30.
The driver of the school bus, though among the survivors, is reportedly to have fled the scene. The Narok-Bomet accident adds to the alarming surge in road fatalities, with data from the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) reveals that 2024 is shaping up to be the deadliest year on Kenyan roads. Data from the National Transport and Safety Authority paints a chilling picture where, by the end of August, 7,114 lives had been lost to road carnage, which is a grim increase from last year's 6,411 deaths. Lennox Sengre, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, now away from that, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has now turned to private security to guard him days after his security was withdrawn. Today, the former DP was in a church service with the private security, and as Mike Gwongona reports, allies of Gachagua from Nyeri County have said that they will denounce any of their sons and daughters who will accept a cabinet appointment.
Sunday morning, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accompanied by his wife, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, and a host of leaders arrived at the Kanunga Baptist Church, Mokoroine in Nyeri County. This time round, guarded by private security officers after his security team was withdrawn. His security was withdrawn after a dramatic event at the Ihora Stadium in Murang'a County 2 weeks ago.
And I would like to ask the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kaja. He's a man from here, Muti hapa nyumbani. Wewe unajua hao watu walitupiga. Picha zao ziko. Most of them have criminal records. Why are you not arresting them and taking them to court? We know, of course, because walipangwa na serikali. Lakini siku moja Bwana Kaja utajibu hiyo swali. One day. These people who attacked innocent people, wakaumiza wananchi, wanazurula kila pahali.
Gachagua has since then been addressing his followers through phone calls in the region through his allies. Gachagua said his security protection team had been withdrawn and that the government would be responsible if anything happened to him. The former DP has been affirming his entitlement to close protection, his removal from office through impeachment notwithstanding. Gachagua's allies were quick to fault the ruling government while calling on Mount Kenya leaders to refuse any cabinet appointment.
This community has been misused, and it's okay. It is true what you are saying, the mountain is angry. It is not just angry, it is very angry. Why the mountain is very angry is because of betrayal.
Kenya is a civil state. We expect the independent National Police Service to do justice to the Deputy President. And the silence of the National Police Service means a lot if nothing is going to happen in the next 7 days.
Former Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, former Governors Nderite Mureithi, Lee Kenyanjui, and former PS Karanja Kibicho are among those who have been mentioned as allies of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, likely to be appointed as cabinet secretaries.
Kama kuna kiti kitaletwa Nyeri, ni kiti kimoja cha president. Ama nyinyi mnasema gani? Kama kuna kiti, nimesikia kuna viti inatafutwa, sijui ati interior, sijui mawaziri. Sisi nyinyi mnataka mawaziri? Yaani tunyang'anywe Rigathi akiwa deputy president, tuletewe mawaziri.
Gachagua's allies, however, committed to stand with him as he fights for political survival. Gachagua says he will issue a direction to his followers in January next year.
Now, President William Ruto has called on Kenyans to stop negativity against their own country. Speaking in Taita Taveta during a church service, the president said that he will deliver as promised and shame those doubting his promises.
Speaking at the Soul Harvest Church in Taita Taveta County, President William Ruto appealed to Kenyans not to be swayed by those spreading propaganda, particularly those who wish to see the country fail.
Let us stop the spirit of negativity in our country. We cannot build this nation on falsehood, on fake news, on disinformation, on propaganda. You cannot hate your country so much to the extent that you want it to fail.
The president said the country's development agenda will not be derailed by naysayers, noting that they are in for a rude awakening. He said facts and figures indicate that the country is on the right track with clear signs of success. The president noted that government programs are being rolled out, citing the last mile electricity connectivity program targeting an additional 700,000 households by 2027. Speaking in Turkana County, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki said that the security situation in Turkana County and the neighboring counties has considerably improved in the past 2 years since the commencement of Operation Maliza Uhalifu.
We want to sustain the peace and stability in North Rift and other parts of our country that had serious problems occasioned by bandit attacks.
Kindiki applauded the gallant frontline multi-agency security officers that have successfully dismantled the criminal enterprise of livestock rustling and banditry and pacified the North Rift Valley region and opening it up for economic transformation and development.
Na mimi nataka niwaambie hata kama sasa nimekuwa naibu wa rais, nitaendelea kusaidiana na waziri mpya ili mambo ya security katika nchi yetu iwe dhabiti. We'll pray for the minister and the teams, but we will be there to offer backup to make sure that our country and our county is safe.
He added that the government appreciates the political, religious and community leaders for being change agents and acknowledges their invaluable support in building a culture of peace. The DP assured that security and the stability of the Northern Rift Valley counties and other parts of the country remains a priority for the government.
Ni wengi wanahitaji ile Mheshimiwa Proda alisema kazi mashinani.
Tumeanza kutafuta ajira hapa Kenya na kutafuta pia ajira katika nchi zingine kwa vijana wetu ambao wangetaka kusafiri.
Mwaka 2 unga imefika bei ambayo ina affordable kwa Mkenya ile wote. Serikali ya William Samoei Ruto ilitupea mbolea mingi sana ya subsidized fertilizer. Tukapanda mahindi, mvua ikakuwa mingi, tukavuna mahindi mingi sana.
The DP was accompanied by Turkana County Governor among other local leaders. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka now claims that the meeting between President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta is not a political formation for 2027. And as Violet Auma now reports, Kalonzo says his eye is on the 2027 polls.
The recent meeting of the President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta has elicited reactions from leaders across the political divide. Speaking in a church service at IEBC St. Gachagua in Gavange village in Gatundu South, Kalonzo took issue with Ruto for failing to disclose all the discussions and instead took advantage of the meeting to seek political mileage. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, however, says the meeting has nothing to do with the 2027 political formation.
Taarifa aliyotoa Uhuru Kenyatta alisema yale waligusia mengine ni juu ya umuhimu wa kuwa na in a democratic state kuwa na upinzani marudufu, upinzani wenye nguvu. Hiyo walizungumza. Hiyo si kuona taarifa ya Ruto hakuwekelea hiyo. Because as the fourth president ni lazima akae juu ya hawa wengine.
Kalonzo says Uhuru, who has been the chairperson of Azimio Coalition, is not interested in the 2027 political formations.
Na hali sisi tuko na katiba 2010 inayozungumzia juu ya umuhimu wa kuwa na nchi ambayo inatawaliwa kisheria, sio kimabavu, sio kiwizi, sio kikateli.
Kalonzo was accompanied by former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and other leaders from Mount Kenya who doubted any possibility of President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta working together.
Ile team tutakuwa naye coalition itakuwa na kila mtu. Na mjue former president wetu Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta ametubariki. Tuendelee. Tuko pamoja mpaka na Mheshimiwa Gachagua tuko na yeye. Pia tuko na Mheshimiwa Matiang'i kwa timu yetu. Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa tuko tuko naye kwa timu yetu. Mheshimiwa anatembea pia tuko naye na yeye.
Neno ya nini? Ule mtu amefanya hii panel ikose kukamilika ni huyu mtu anaitwa William Ruto. If Augustus Muli is not your mole, mwambie andoe hiyo kesi kotini.
President Ruto met Kenyatta in his Ichaweri home last week. Violet Auma, TV47.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union KMPDU has announced demonstrations starting tomorrow Monday, citing the government's failure to implement a collective bargaining agreement and a return to work formula. As stations escalate, the union plans a nationwide strike starting December 22nd to demand better pay, working conditions and resources. Solidarity forever. KMPDU has formally notified the Inspector General of Police of its intention to stage demonstrations on Monday, December 16. The union is protesting the government's delay in implementing key agreements reached earlier this year, the return to work formula and a collective bargaining agreement CBA, both signed in the aftermath of a grueling 56-day strike that concluded in May. At the heart of the union's grievances is the government's failure to honor its commitments. The delayed implementation has left critical issues unresolved, including salary adjustments, promotions, improved working conditions, and the provision of adequate resources in public health facilities.
Government is focused on the messenger, is focused on the union leaders, is focused on the officials, but it's not focused on the issues that have not implemented. We want to put it out clear that you can eliminate the leaders of the union, but it will take the government to eliminate every single doctor of this country for doctors to swallow salary reduction. As
tensions mount, KMPDU has announced plans for a major nationwide strike set to commence on December 22nd. This looming strike, which threatens to paralyze public healthcare services, is aimed at compelling the government to act on its promises. The union is demanding the immediate implementation of the CBA, including salary increments to reflect inflation, better health insurance coverage, and the recruitment of additional healthcare workers to address chronic staff shortages in public hospitals.
Doctors should start discharging patients from 19th. So that on the midnight of 22nd, we don't lose patients.
Pia wa Kenya, mkuwe tayari, mjitayarishe, mtafute mahali mtaenda kupata matibabu kwa sababu mahospitali zote za umma na pia private facilities or the faith-based hospitals are going to be closed. It's very unfortunate for us to abandon our hospitals and we go home, but tumefika ile mahali tumeshindwa tufanye nini. Forever.
Additionally, the union is pushing for the timely disbursement of allowances and the improvement of working conditions, including the provision of protective equipment, which remains inadequate in many facilities. All right, still on matters health, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has castigated those opposing the new medical scheme, Taifa Care, SHA, saying that the scheme tends to seal loopholes and corruption in KEMSA and other health departments. Speaking at a church service at Ekambuli Church of God, the Kikuyu legislature urged locals to register to SHA in order to get its benefits. Ichung'wah was accompanied by the area MP Christopher Aseka and Matungu MP Peter Nabulindo, who have started the sublocation SHA registration initiative to ensure many register on the program.
Wengi tuko Nairobi, tuko na bima za afya, hata wabunge wengine ambao walipitisha ule mswada ya kuweka sheria 4 za kutengeneza hii Social Health Insurance Fund, ambayo baadhi ya hizo sheria tusingojee ni lazima mpaka governor alete dawa. Komiti yenye itaundwa ya hii health center ndio wanahakikisha kuna dawa ya kutosha na kuna equipment kufuatilia mpangilio wa shift wa facility ambayo tuliunda kwa sheria tukaita Facility Improvement Fund.
Sisi twende tujiandikishe, kama kuna makosa tutarekebisha hayo makosa ikiwa wewe tayari ni member wa hiyo SHA.
Now, a section of men have called on the government to reduce the cost of living, arguing that the current economic instability, unemployment and poverty are the primary causes of the rise in mental health problems among men, as Anastasia Mukabi now reports.
Men are more likely to commit suicide than women due to mental health illness. Majority of men fear to visit therapists or mental health counselors for a variety of reasons, including pressure around the societal norms, reluctance to talk about their problems, embarrassments, and shame. A section of men in Kiamwangi, Kiambu County, highlighted that economic hardship, unemployment, and poverty has led to rise in the number of men silently suffering from mental health illness.
Wanaume haswa huwa hatuongei, lakini sasa venye umeshikana na wanachama na huwa tumeshirikiana, huwa tunaongea na hayo maneno, hatupitii kuwa na zile mashida.
Serikali iangalie wazee wote, hata akina mama, kwa sababu wako na shida sana ya matumizi, hawana pesa, hata hawana sabuni ya kupatia bibi asafishe nguo zake. Kwa hivyo akaona, unajua wanaume si kama wanawake. Mwanaume hawezi akaja mbele ya watu akiwa na shati inaonekana uchafu.
These men have expressed that the pressures they face as breadwinners and the need to maintain a facade of strength and stability in their families has led to increased stress, anxiety, and depression, further calling on the government to intervene and reduce the cost of living.
Tungewauliza viongozi wetu, hata wale wako bungeni, tungewauliza wawe wanatetea wananchi, sababu wamebeba mizigo mizito zaidi na wanapitia magumu kulingana na ukosefu wa pesa mfukoni.
In an effort to combat depression and suicidal thoughts, men have been urged to meet up among themselves for therapeutic sessions. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the High Court is on Monday set to rule on a case challenging the current university funding model. The case was filed last year by the Kenya Human Rights Commission, among others, arguing that the funding model is discriminatory and locks out thousands of students of higher learning education, as Andrin Kilemi now reports.
The new university funding model, now in its second year of implementation, will face a critical test on Monday when the court delivers its ruling on a case challenging its legality. The case filed in October last year by the Kenya Human Rights Commission, the Elimu Bora Working Group, and the Students' Caucus argues that the funding model is discriminatory and locks thousands of students out of higher learning. In its defense, the government said the new higher funding model aims to alleviate Kenyans' suffering and transform the country's education state. The funding model places students into 5 bands based on their financial needs through a means testing instrument. These organizations argue that the new funding model shifts the responsibility of providing education from the state to parents, many of whom are financially challenged. The government has been defending the funding model, which President Ruto says is on course to achieving financial stability within the next 3 years. By 2022, public universities had accumulated debts exceeding 120 billion shillings, and 23 out of 40 of them were at the risk of closure. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Now, it was electrified with excitement as legendary Congolese Rumba maestro Kofi Olomide, alias Le Grand Mopao, graced the Lakeside City for the highly anticipated Mzuka Festival last night. The star received a grand reception with fans standing out in droves to catch a glimpse of the celebrated artist whose music has transcended borders for decades. Supported by the Kisumu County Government, brought to you by TV47 and Radio 47, the event highlighted the growing appreciation for Rumba music in the region. The crowd, a mix of loyal fans and new admirers, displayed an overwhelming outpouring of love and admiration for the man who has shaped the Rumba genre globally. Interesting indeed. Now, in times of accidents and other incidences such as fire, victims are left in the hands of lifesavers such as St. John's Ambulance. Such victims are those who were affected by a gas explosion in Embakasi Mradi area, Nairobi, 11 months ago. They spoke to TV47's Paul Kirubi, narrating their ordeal. Listen in.
Pain. I feel pain. Najaribu kuweka mguu hivi, I can't.
An unforgettable night. The happenings are all vivid to her. They say time heals, but not for her case. She is one of the many survivors of the Embakasi Mradi gas explosion tragedy. Maureen Murugi's facial expression and emotion tells it all. She is in pain, mentally and physically. The agony in her eyes tells the story of a night incident vividly in her memory, an incident that left her nursing severe burns on her legs and hands.
Feel like the end of the world because the people wenye nilikuwa nimetegemea they are going.
On the fateful night, Maureen narrates she was in her house when the seemingly to be a pleasant night turned horrific. Through her window, she recalls seeing a massive ball of fire.
A span of 10 minutes from when nilishuka to that, ndio naona blast imetokea kwa nyumba katikati, ikakuja. It was coming towards my side. Chini ilikuwa clear hair, juu ilikuwa moto, but the pressure was too high that by the time na turn ikanirusha.
Panicking, her instincts push her to make a run for her life. Little known to her that the intense heat emitted from the explosion had already scorched her skin. Desperate for help, she ran into the streets where chaotic scenes were unreeling. Everyone else was fleeing for their lives. Unknown to her, the sight of her burned legs was horrifying to those around her. Luckily, she survived it all and made to a hospital. But
pale nilipofika Mata, they looked at burns. Nilikuwa nimechomeka 17% of my body, and then that degree on my legs, second degrees kwa mikono. So that time they just gave me a first aid, wakaanza kutoa liquid, but hawakunitoa ile ngozi ya juu. Walinifunga, walitoa tu maji wakanifunga na hiyo ngozi. So kufika ndio sasa tukoona they were asking for admission, they were asking for 300K.
The St. John Ambulance Kenya answered her call for help.
So many people wenye walikuwa wamechomeka, they were dying. They were dying. So unasikia mtu mwenye ako jirani amesha pass. So nilikuwa nangoja an opportunity where it was me ndio next. That's what the opportunity I was waiting for.
The dire need for medical attention, albeit financial challenges, was not an isolated difficulty for Maureen. Hundreds of others who sustained injuries remained trapped at home, unable to afford medical care. Such is Joel Lukono, also suffered severe burns on his arms.
Mkono hapa singekuwa hai, juu nilikaa kwa nyumba more than 2 weeks bila kukuwa dressed na kidonda ikanini. Mtu akanidanganya nikaeka kienyeji. Sasa kuweka kienyeji ikachukua hiyo nyama ikakuja juu. Ndio ikaworsen everything. Kwa sababu hasa ikabidi sasa ni for better for worse nikuje watoe hiyo ngozi yote.
In the aftermath of the explosion, Nairobi County government had announced a waiver of medical expenses for persons affected by the killer explosion, but that remained to be just but an announcement, at least from the victims who narrate a different tale. The incident leaving an indelible mark in the lives of affected and the country emergency response management, the St. John Ambulance further introduced more programs, such as providing free rescue and first aid along highways. the organization establishing highway first aid posts like this one in Lare, along one of the most notorious black spots. Every day, these centers are manned by dedicated St. John first responders who volunteer their time and services free of charge.
Nikakatwa kwa mkono, nikawa sijielewi na nikapoteza fahamu. Wakati ambapo nilirudisha fahamu, ndio nikakuta watu wa St. Joe ambulance, hata hakukuwa na daktari wote alikuwa amefika, isipokuwa raia wenye walikuwa hapo karibu.
Wakanichukua, wakanifunga hiyo mguu, wakaniweka kwa kitanda, wakanitibu hiyo mguu yote.
In such instances, the first responders are residents and business owners near the rescue center, all who are volunteers trained in first aid, emergency response and trauma counseling to handle all kinds of pre-hospital care in case of medical emergencies in their area.
My dad, siku moja alipatanga accident na walimshikilia sana hadi akapona. So nikakuwa willing kuingia St. John's na nikaona naweza saidia watu wengi.
Siku nyingine kulikuwa na landslide pale Matadhia, pia tulikuwa hapo, tulienda hata Maimahio. Tumekuwa tukisaidia community kwa njia mbalimbali. Pia watu wakiwa vijijini, wakipata mahali popote kuna ajali ama janga lolote likitokea, huwa wanatuita na tunaenda tunawasaidia.
A similar rescue center setup is just a few kilometers away at another notorious black spot in Ngarariga along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway.
So tumekuwa hapa, tunapatiana services kama first aid, pia tunapatiana services za counseling, na pia tunahudumia watu wenye wako na mashida ya magonjwa nini. Sawa, wakikuja huku kwetu tunawadirect venye watapata huduma.
Bodaboda riders often the first to arrive at accident scenes. St. John also embarked in providing them with the necessary knowledge of saving lives through first aid.
Mombasa Road, at least mtu wa kwanza pale unaona, hata siku hizi unapata wanatembea paka na zile first aid kits, wamejifunga nayo hivi, wanasaidiana. Unasikia anasema tusimpeleke hivyo, ngoja kidogo, tulifundishwa tunafanya hivi. CPI wanajua kufanya.
Nyingine nimepata mtu ameanguka kifafa na alikuwa na wenzake, hawakujua kama huyo mtu anafaa kutolewa nguo ama anafaa kutolewa viatu. So nilienda pale nikawaongelesha, nikaona venye jamaa na behave, nikapata wanachukua kalamu wanamuingizia kwa mdomo, mimi nikawatoa hiyo kalamu.
St. John CEO Dr. James Wanjagi explains that the organization aims to have at least one trained first responder in every home.
We include emergency medical technicians so that they can be able to go out there and support organizations and support in paramedicine. We include basic caregiver for home managers who can help support the families. So it's more than just training. It's a training in a variety of courses that help prepare people when emergencies occur, but so that they can also serve in emergencies. And then finally, of course, is the ambulance. And our ambulances are in two varieties. One is that we provide free ambulance when there is an accident.
Rescue centers located along major highways will play a very critical role during this festive season. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Lare, Kiambu County.
All right, we hope that there'll forever be hope or light at the end of the tunnel for the victims of Embakasi. We are taking a very fast short break at this point, because so much more lined up for you. Stay with us.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, President William-Ruto is tomorrow expected to meet governors amidst a standoff with the county bosses over a number of issues, as the county bosses are said to be furious with the national government over, among other things, the devolved units that are still under the national government. And as Joshua Nsari now reports, the meeting is also likely to discuss the health equipment leasing plan.
The president will be hosting the meeting at a time the county governors are having issues with the national government as well as a section of independent agencies. The meeting comes just days after the county bosses expressed their fight during the pre-summit that was chaired by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki last week. Among the issues the governors have raised are the reports by the Control of Budget, which they claim do not capture the cases of delayed disbursements of funds in development spending.
That appreciating the concerns raised by the Council of Governors and the Controller of Budget on the current mechanism for approval of withdrawal of funds and multiple accounts held by county governments, and also appreciating the perceptions arising from the Controller of Budget quarterly reports that the Office of the Deputy President convenes a consultative meeting to bring these matters to resolution.
They are also unhappy with the ongoing dispute over devolved functions that are still held at the national level. The control of road billions even after a court case ruled in their favor, as well as the recent standoff on the health equipment leasing plan. The High Court in September froze 10.5 billion shillings collected under the Road Maintenance Levy Fund pending a determination of a case filed by the governors challenging the use of funds by the Kenya Roads Board to build roads in the counties. The governors are also faulting national government water agencies whose functions are still lying under the national government.
And that sectoral engagements be immediately undertaken to bring to resolution all other functions which are pending consensus that are before the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. Further, that the performance assessment for functions already devolved to county government is to be expedited through the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee.
Last week's meeting of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Government, IEBC, chaired by Deputy President, agreed on the transfer of devolved functions. The DP also assured the governors that the delayed disbursement would be sent to counties this coming week. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Calls for the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, continue to rock the country's waves, with a section of leaders warning of mass protest in 2025 if the electoral body will not have been constituted. And as Mike Kagwango reports, the leaders now say IEBC commissioners need to be appointed immediately to start preparing for the 2027 general election and the delimitation of boundaries ahead of the polls.
Kenyans have now joined members of parliament over onslaught against the government's delay to reconstitute the electoral body. Opposition leaders have read malice in the delay, arguing that commissioners ought to have been appointed immediately after the lapse of the tenure of those who left the commission to start preparing for the 2027 general election. The delimitation of boundaries must be done ahead of the polls.
So every single day we are walking into a constitutional crisis. Na waomba nyinyi kanisa pia ogeeni mambo ya IEBC hata kutuliko sisi.
Saboti Member of Parliament Caleb Amisi says the lack of an electoral commission was a disservice to the democratic foundation of the country, warning of mass protests in 2025 if the electoral body will not have been constituted.
The people of Kenya can air out on streets, and that's why I said in February, if there is no IEBC, if it is Kalonzo, the people of Kenya must demonstrate against Kalonzo. If the issue is because of parliament, the people of Kenya must demonstrate against the parliament. If the delay of reconstitution of IEBC is because of the president, the people of Kenya must demonstrate against President Ruto. And if the delay is against Raila Odinga or somebody else, or Azimio or ODM, the people of Kenya shall demonstrate against those individuals.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has since declared vacancies in Ugunja, Banisa and Magarini constituencies, paving the way for by-elections. At least 7 wards are also yet to be represented. The Supreme Court nullified the August 9, 2022 election of Magarini Member of Parliament Harrison Kombe after Justices Smokin Wanjala, Njoki Ndongo and Mohamed Ibrahim found that Kombe, who ran on an ODM ticket, engaged in ballot stuffing and altering of the election results. Banisa constituency's seat became vacant after MP Kulo Malim Hassan passed away in March last year after sustaining injuries in a motorbike accident. Ugunja constituency was declared vacant following the appointment of Opiyo Wandayi as Cabinet Secretary for Energy.
They have a right to be represented, and if they don't have their own
in there, then they're not being represented. In case there's anything, we hear, or rather we see the president meeting people. So what about those whose constituencies don't have a representative? That means they're missing out.
The people want to remove a non-performing leader. The only way to remove is by IEBC. If you want to recall a leader, you need the authority of the IEBC, and the process of the IEBC must take center stage.
However, IEBC is yet to be fully reconstituted after key members, including the term of former chairperson Wafula Chebukati, ended, while his deputy Juliana Cherera and other top commissioners resigned. Amisi said the country is counting disaster by not having a properly constituted electoral body, and urged the government to do everything possible to ensure the IEBC commissioners are in place as a matter of priority.
If there is any individual, institution, or a party standing against the constitution of the people of the IEBC, we will go down the annals of history as the impediment, the biggest letdown, and the bottleneck of our Kenyan democracy. And the history will judge him harshly. Kenyan people will judge him harshly.
Kenyans have, however, warned that the country risks plunging into a crisis as IEBC was behind schedule in the delimitation of boundaries. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike, for that report. Now, youths at the Machakos University have embraced digital employment as a way of addressing unemployment in the country. President William Ruto has in the recent past urged Kenyans to embrace digital employment as a way of job creation in the country. Nicholas Mbai reports from Machakos County.
2 years ago, Annabelle was one among many students who joined Machakos University faced by poverty-associated challenges.
Life ya comrade si rahisi. From upkeep, you can't depend totally on your parent. If you do, utalala njaa kama comrade.
Our story is no different from many other students, among them being Brian Mutuma.
I was introduced to Upwork and equipped with the essential digital skills like virtual assistant, client management, and it has really enabled me to earn income so that I've been able to pay my school fees.
Painting a picture of many students in universities across the country, but with the introduction of online employment through digital platforms like Ajira, the situation seems to have changed as many students can comfortably afford basic needs.
It's been a good journey for me because I've been able to make some good cash in terms of dollars.
I can say right now I'm in a better position. I am able to at least support myself with what I get from home, with the support I get from home combined with what I get from Ajira, from my class, who I got through the trainings and the webinars from Ajira. Maisha si kawaida as a comrade.
During Jamhuri Day celebration, President William Ruto asked Kenyans to embrace digital employment as a way of reducing unemployment rate in the country. A move taken positively by students like Michael Muchungia, who believes digital employment is more than just earning.
So apart from earning, I'm learning a lot. You know, when you are working with clients, these are high-profile people, and you learn some of these maybe skills, quote unquote, which we say is for the rich people, maybe something like investing. Because I have to do some of these things that they do because I do on their behalf, I'm able to learn.
At the Machakos University, over 1,000 students have embraced Ajira, even though digital employment has been facing numerous challenges, among them like scamming.
Like some few months ago, there was a platform whereby a lot of comrades really invested their hard-earned money, but after 2 weeks, they were scammed.
Digital employment is reportedly gaining popularity among many comrades in many universities across the country, with many now being able to meet their basic need without struggle.
It was easy to admit members considering the impact that other students have been able to, according to the impact that they see from other students. So seeing that other students are able to earn and also they are able to manage their finances. That motivates a lot of students.
With many hopes that the government will invest more in such programs to reduce unemployment rate among the elites, digital employment remains a major boost to reduce unemployment rate in the country. Nicholas Mbai reporting for TV47, Machakos County.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Kenya national under-17 football team Junior Stars have continued with their preparations ahead of their under-17 Africa Cup of Nations CECAFA qualifiers. After the fixtures were revised, Kenya is now placed in Group A alongside Uganda and Tanzania. Junior Stars will kick off their qualification campaign with a match against Tanzania on Wednesday this week, then against Uganda on Saturday, December 21st, 2024, with all matches staged at Nakivumbu Ham Stadium. The best two teams will have a chance to play in the Continental Championship slated for 2025. Shabana Football Club have bagged their fifth win of the season after a 2-0 victory over league leaders KCB in a Football Kenya Federation Premier League fixture played at the Gusii Stadium. Shabana took the lead inside 29 minutes of play through Brian Michira's strike as Austin Odongo doubled the advantage in the dying minutes of full-time, handing Torit Bobe a 2. Basketball team Equity Dumas wrapped up their FIBA East Africa Basketball Champions Cup with a 72-69 loss to IEBC of Tanzania at the Nyayo National Stadium. The Dumas went interested halftime with a 5-point lead but failed to capitalize on the advantage in the second half as the Tanzanians pulled an impressive comeback to ensure they took home the bragging rights. The newly refurbished Equity team will now turn their focus back to the Kenya Premier League that resumes earlier next year. Meanwhile, Kenya basketball giants KPA are currently taking on Remesha or Burundi at the Nyayo National Stadium.
Just like the other games, it's a tough tournament because I think it's top teams around East Africa. So we played better today, executed better, but it takes a toll on the body throughout the tournament to keep on sustaining performance. I feel we could have done better, but we've improved throughout the tournament. Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to better days. Like I was telling my teammates, these are early days when you're building. So I think there's hardly anyone who is beaten down or disappointed, because to be honest, we are a young team, as I've said. Everyone is new. Like 80% is new. So we build from there, and I'm certain the season will be great.
I think this game, I can say something went wrong. It's just the turn of events. However, if you look at our game, we could have done better on the free throws. We got 41 free throws and we only scored 10, and we've lost by 3 points. So for us, when you look at such statistics, maybe we can say it's something that went wrong, but it's something we can work on. Those are shots that I know that in training our players take and they can make. And yeah, all we can do is now get better, because now we understand where the problem is.
Now, the 12th edition of the Mombasa Open Tongel Modoi International Martial Arts Championship 2024 hangs in the balance due to funding delays. The event failed to kick off on the 15th of December at the Aga Khan Academy in the coastal city of Mombasa due to what officials termed as lack of resources to hold the much-anticipated tournament. The Assistant Secretary General Kenya Tongel Modoi Federation, Elvis Malipe, stated that the championship failed to kick off on Sunday as scheduled due to what he termed as lack of funds.
As we speak right now, we have participants who have already arrived from India, Japan, Paraguay, Uganda, and we are expecting more teams to be jetting into the country. But we are, however, also having challenges convincing them to come, because we have not brought in our event officials who are supposed to manage the event. And they come from the same country, so when we do not bring the officials in, the players also have question marks whether the event is on or not, so they avoid coming. That is the challenge we have. So we are pleading with the president to rescue the situation, because we tried to seek audience with the Ministry of Sports through the Cabinet Secretary and the Principal Secretary, but we have not yet managed to get basically our... Yeah, the only hope we have right now is the head of state, when he intervenes, talks to his ministry. That's the only way we can achieve this tournament, because we have tried, we have done all we are supposed to do. We have followed all the requirements, we have complied with all the requirements that the ministry has demanded from us, but currently we have no communication from them. They are mute.
And we want to be in this tournament, like all countries, and have a good tournament and bring all the medals to our countries.
And finally, the KCB volleyball team and Equity Bank are the 2024 champions of the Kipchumba Karori Eldred International Volleyball Tournament, which was held in Eldred in Gishu County. The Bankers ladies bagged the title after upsetting DCI Sleuths 3-1 in a 4-set thrilling cup final to retain it for an incredible third consecutive year. In the men's category, Bankers Equity emerged victorious in a toe-to-toe final that witnesses 5-set thrillers of scores: 25-17, 17-25, 25-23, 22-25, and 17-15, respectively.
This is my first tournament with this team, and we've made it, we've won. It was a very tough one, but at the end of it, we come victorious. The tournament generally was well organized. The standard of the game was also high. So every team came for a competition, and it was tough right from the pool. So it has been a tough tournament and well organized. We appreciate the effort that has been put towards arrangements and preparation for this championship.
The tournament has been good. There was a good turn-up for teams. Many teams came up, and even the awards themselves, they are good, and their motivation to the players. My urge to the government is Eldoret is a big city, and they love sports so much. So if it can be possible to get one arena or two arenas, indoor arenas, because volleyball is an indoor game. Volleyball is an indoor game, so getting to play outside, you get interference with the weather, with the wind. It interferes with the flow of the game. So if you can get an indoor arena, it will be a plus.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets.
All right, now we are taking another second short break at this point, but don't go too far because we're coming back with a conversation on healthy eating during the festive season. Our guests are already in studio tonight. We have Stephen Sewe, that is a clinical dietitian. Karibu sana to studio.
Thank you.
And we have Lillian Mumina here, the treasurer and national, Kenya National Dietitian Union, dietitians. Yes, karibuni sana to studio. That conversation is coming up next after this break.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child
than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury
items. At 7:30 p.m.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. It's time for To The Point. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, this is the last show of the year. And what better way to wrap up the show than to talk matters food and healthy eating. Now, our guests are already in studio tonight. Just right next to me is Stephen Sewe. He's a consultant, clinical dietitian. Karibu sana, how are you?
Fine.
You're well?
Yes, I am.
All right. And also we have Lillian Momina. I hope I'm not butchering your name.
No.
Right. Lillian is the treasurer of the Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians. Karibu sana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Asante sana.
Right. Now, let's just start with the basics, Stephen. The festive season comes with overindulgence, of course. Now, why is it important to ensure that we embrace healthy eating, especially during this time? Stephen?
Well, you know, the festivities, there's a lot of endless parties involved, big feasts. Probably you have friends you haven't met in a long time over the year. You've just met. So there is that one meal you want to do that probably you had promised to engage in. So a lot of people get involved in over drinking, overeating, and at the end of the day, they backfire. In January, there are a lot of hospital admissions because of indigestions. Some people start to develop some, like for example, patients with underlying conditions such as diabetes. They develop lack of sugar control, and that poses a risk actually to those individuals. Yeah.
All right.
So it is actually good to practice mindful eating. Nutrition is key. Optimal nutrition is key to as a focus to individuals in families, even for children. Because right now, if you go to the supermarkets, everybody's shopping for the ice creams, all of these junk foods. And when children eat ice cream and junk foods all the time, they don't have time to eat healthy meals. And these can grow into a habit over time. And these could possibly lead to complications like diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and other heart-related conditions. So mindful eating is essential in this part. However much you want to enjoy the festivities, we have to have control. Control is key. We are not talking about restriction or depriving yourself of the fun. Even if you're taking the alcohol, we do it in moderation, not just overdoing it, because alcohol also overdoing it could also cause you indigestion.
We'll come to portions. We're coming to portions now that we need to take. But Lillian, Stephen has mentioned something about those with underlying conditions, hypertension and diabetes. Now, how do they navigate the festive table and still enjoy the festive season?
Now, if you have any chronic illness, like let's say diabetes or hypertension, you need first to understand that the festivities is coming and going, and your condition is still there. So you have to approach it. You have to approach it with like a mindset of, I'm going to enjoy the holidays, but I need to be very cautious and very aware of what is actually what I'm actually dealing with. So for someone with diabetes, of course, it might be very challenging to enjoy the festivities because, you know, in Kenya, the food is the center of all our occasions, of all our celebrations. So for someone with diabetes, you can optimally, you can choose to have like more veggies in your plates. You can choose to have less processed foods. Like if people are having mandazi, you can select ndoma. Because again, you cannot tell, we cannot tell you to stop enjoying the holiday, and it's Christmas, you know. So even while you're doing it, as Stephen has said, you need to be very mindful and alert and aware of the condition that you have, because you don't want again to overspike your blood sugars. You don't want to have issues with blood pressure regulations. You want to make sure that yes, you're enjoying the holiday, but you're doing it mindfully, and also continue taking medications. You know, sometimes people can overindulge in things like alcohol, and they forget that they are managing conditions. This is the time for you to ensure that you are being very practical in what you're eating. I know sometimes it might appear like we are restricting you because we don't want you to enjoy the holidays, and we say that you only live once. But again, you want to live once and live long enough to enjoy the life. You don't want to live long and have complications of diabetes or the uncontrolled blood pressure. So be mindful of your plate. I always insist that when you go to those setups where people are enjoying or having those dinners or having those galas, select a lesser size of a plate, because nowadays I was in an event the other day and I was very impressed. They have the bigger size of plate and they have the moderate and the smaller portion and a smaller size. So if you're diabetic, you can pick a smaller size of plate, and then you be selective in the types of foods that you're going to have them in your plate.
Now that you're talking about overindulgence, or rather just indulgence, we have chapati, we have nyama choma, we have desserts, we have pilau. It's that season. Now, how do we strike a balance, Lillian?
Now, striking a balance, you see, now you see pilau, chapati, it's that season. They are basically carbohydrates. So if you're diabetic, this is basically for someone who's there. If you're not diabetic, you can actually afford to have your pilau, your chapati, your mokimo all in the same plate, and still have like your portion of vegetables and proteins in the same plate cautiously. But if you're diabetic, it is wise for you to try as much as you can. If you're having that pilau, if you can, have it like the unprocessed or the whole grain, the brown pilau. You know, someone might say that does not taste like the actual
it's not
pilau.
Sweet.
Yeah, even the brown chapati. But again, you can also make them a bit healthier by adding things like carrots to the white chapati. You can add things like butternut to increase the fiber content, and it will reduce the quantities that you're going to have to eat. Again, I always insist that when you're having your meals, one of the practices of mindful eating is basically listening to your cues. Understand how your body receives the food. Your body will tell you when it's full, your body will tell you when it's hungry. Sometimes we tend to eat when you're supposed to be drinking things like water, when you're supposed to be hydrating. So before you eat, make sure that you're hydrated, to make sure that your cues align with what your body needs. And then you listen to them, and we avoid as much as we can to go for round 2. Because sometimes the excitement of Christmas, you can be in an event with foods that you have not seen in a while, like a lot of nyama choma, a lot of different meats, and then it excites you. And it's normal for a human being, when the adrenaline is high, for you to want to consume more. So before you go for a second portion, if you know you're trying to manage something, and again you want to start the year off well, it is wise that you try to at least wait for like 20 minutes so that you can give your body time to process what has happened. And then when that happens, then you can, if you're still hungry after the 20 minutes, you've taken your glass of water, then you can go for a second round. If not,
you're good. But Stephen, you know, drinking water before you take your meal, sometimes it makes you so full, you don't even enjoy that meal in itself. So hiyo inasaidiaje? Sababu I want to enjoy my food, but I've taken water and I won't be able to eat as much as I would want to.
Well, you know, water shouldn't be taken, I mean, like too much water shouldn't be taken with food. If you, like Lina has said, you need to listen to your hunger cues. Sometimes it's thirst that you have and you think it's hunger. So you see, much water, if I would say a glass, you'd probably take it 15 to 30 minutes before your meal, okay? By that time, the body would have utilized that water, okay? But in between meals, or rather with meals, you'd have a sip of water maybe to just clear your throat and also help in digestion. But the problem is that people either overdo it or they underdo it. It is important to keep up that balance. Yeah.
And then maybe to add, you see, when it comes to water intake, most of us usually we are actually dehydrated. We don't take enough water. If I may pose a question, how many glasses of water have you taken today?
Today?
Yeah.
Like 3.
You see.
That's too little?
But again, your body is not so much, so you might not need so much.
How many glasses should I take, Lillian?
That will depend on several factors. It will depend on the energy that you've taken, like how many calories you've taken, your activity levels. And again, you're talking, you need to like...
Yes, hydrate.
Throat, yeah. So you might actually... The blanket that we usually do for the population is basically between 8 to 12 glasses of water. But again, that is for someone who's standard, like the standard healthy person. So for water intake is so individual that I might need to take 6, he might need to take 12. It's that specific. Because you see, we are doing different activities. I've eaten the different types of meals. The combination, I might have taken a lot of protein, he might have taken a lot of fat, and they need little or more water to digest compared to the others. So all these factors affect water intake. But you see, if in these festivities, one of the things people do most is people avoid hydration because, again, they want to enjoy the festivity, so they are taking up things like a lot of alcohol, they're taking up a lot of processed and refined food, there's a lot of sugar intake, and all this increase the dehydration levels in your tummy.
Just hold on to that point. Now, Stephen, we are talking about the usual culprits. You've talked about nyama choma, pilau, but alcohol,
yes,
we can't ignore the fact that it will be there in these festivities. Now, how do we handle it in a manner that we are not putting our health at risk?
Well, there is a recommended amount of alcohol intake in moderation.
Alcohol is just risk in general.
It is a risk, but you see, because it has been, in research, it is that if you restrict people too much, you corner them, that's now when they make the mistakes. You know, it's like a child, you tell them, you don't eat ice cream. When they go to school, they want to try, how does it taste? Why does mom say I can't eat ice cream? Okay? Now, if you restrict people that now don't, but you don't give them these alternatives, they will side on the side of the wrong. So basically, that's why we talk about moderation. So it is said that 2 glasses a day, that should be it for the day, for men and for the females.
Lillian, do you
a glass.
agree?
So basically, you know, alcohol. You know, one of the things that, however much, we are in a merry period, and it's okay. We need to enjoy the festivities. Probably you've had a rough year, and this is the time that you are free from work, meeting friends. You're not in a hurry to go somewhere, so you've got the time. You have traveled up country. You remain in the city. That's okay. But the question is, if you overindulge in alcohol, as she has said, dehydration. You see, water is the simplest, most, it is the simplest component because it is mostly free. I mean, if you ask water from somebody, who can say no to that? So water, it also helps your body get rid of these toxins. In Christmas, as people overindulge in alcohol, in eating a lot of junk foods, there is a mechanism that the body needs to excrete all these waste products. Some of them are taken out through sweat, and sweat is made from water. So if you are dehydrated with alcohol, where do you get the sweat? You need to make enough urine so that you can remove the water-soluble toxins from the body. You need to have good stools so that you can get rid of other components of the toxin. So basically, that balance is key, because if it's not kept, in the long run, you will have complications. And in my experience, it is never worth it. When you're in the hospital bed suffering illness after over alcohol consumption, when liver cirrhosis sets in or alcoholic-related fatty liver disease, you're on your own. Even your friends who you were at with the events, the party, laughing all loud, the pain is yours.
You're one-man
body.
person.
Yes, so you should remember that at the end of the day, then January is still coming. It's not the end of the day. December, it's just a 1-week festivities.
All right. Now, Lillian, he has mentioned something quite interesting to me, that 2 glasses of alcohol per day. Now, imagine taking 2 glasses of alcohol every day for 30 days, the number of days in a month. Is that really safe?
Actually, alcohol was recently classified as a toxin. So the recommendation that WHO used to have of taking 2 glasses was scrapped off.
Yeah.
Because your body does not have the capacity to metabolize that toxins. So when you're taking it, even the 2 glasses per day, you're building up on toxins and you risk getting all the conditions that he has talked about. However, we need to be realistic. Those are guidelines. And they are very good because they are backed up by data and evidence. But again, you see, Kenyans have this tendency of drinking during December. So what we can do is we can actually try and make sure that they are doing it safer. Encourage people to take things like lemon water in the morning to aid the liver in removing these toxins from your body. And then again, when you're selecting your drink, select the lesser concentration. Like if you're doing a beer, do like the 4% or the 4.5. Avoid the 7, the 8, or the 10. And if you're doing the ciders or the sugary drinks or the cocktails, you can also avoid as much as you can the sugary ones that have added caramel, all these honey or these sweeteners that they add to those drinks to make them very, very enticing for the ladies. So, but ideally, alcohol is a toxin. So if you can avoid it, that will be great. But if you can't, please try as much as you can to support your body by supplying it with anti-inflammatory, like foods like lemons, fruits and vegetables, taking up enough water, trying to walk so that you can sweat out, and ensure that your digestion is working well so that you can remove all that from your system, because the buildup has been shown to cause chronic diseases that are kind of fatal, that are actually fatal. So there's no safe limit,
All right, awesome. Now, it's important that we also embrace diversity. We have this group, vegetarians or plant-based eaters. We also have kids, all right? Now, let me start with these vegetarians. Are they the safer group of people? Because now they only indulge in, they're vegetarians, they don't eat meat, dairy. Are they safe, Stephen? Or how do they strike a balance to also ensure that there's variety for them and there's also better portions for them?
Well, mostly the difference is in the proteins. There are the plant proteins, and then there are the animal proteins. The quality of the proteins differ from the plant and animal proteins. Sometimes in the same quantity, they might have the same amount of proteins if you do an analysis, but then the quality of proteins, something we call bioavailability, how much of that protein the body will be able to absorb. It's more bioavailable in animal proteins than plant proteins. But it doesn't mean that they are all useful. So basically, as long as you have said, they practice variety. Even for the plant proteins, there are a lot of varieties. You can have lentils, you can have green grams, you could have various varieties of beans, okay? Because definitely, however much lentils all belong in one group, they don't all have the same nutrition content. They differ in somewhat way. So basically, the best way, practice variety. Today, if you take these, today you take beans, tomorrow you take lentils, the other day you take green peas, the other day you could take green grams. In that manner, you maximize from the difference in the nutrient content. And also, there are live bacteria in the gut. They're called probiotics. They help you in digestion and protecting your gut from the harmful bacteria. And they feed on the fiber. This fiber, there are different types of fiber, and they also differ in the different types of these plant proteins. So the more the variety, the more you are able to proliferate the different kinds of bacteria that will help protect your body from immunity. Even as this festive season, we need to really empower our body to increase digestion. Those bacteria really play a great role in digestion. So the animal proteins are also good. They have high quality proteins, but you need to be very careful on the type of meats you take. There is a grass-fed meat and grain-fed meat. That is something that people really don't get, because however much you love meat, if you take a grain-fed meat, meat is only as good as how it was, if a cow is only as good as the environment it was brought up from. The free-range cow which eats grass, that's a good meat, a very good protein quality. The one that has been fed soy and corn, they contain more of omega-6, and this increases inflammation. Okay? The grass-fed meats, they actually have more antioxidants, so they will also help you to reduce the toxins in your body. So even the chicken, the free-range chicken, that's the best.
Interesting. It's interesting to know that we have soy-fed cows and also grass-fed cows. It's interesting. But time is not on our side. I'm being told that time is really, really running. But how about the parents? How do they ensure that now the kids are also healthy eating, embracing healthy eating, now that these are tiny humans who love larger portions, you know? The kids are home, schools have closed. How do they ensure that they are healthy eating?
The first thing is ensuring that availability of the healthier foods are at home. You know, unfortunately, if you go to these groups, like you'll find parents sharing what they are shopping for Christmas and holiday, and you'll find that the shopping consists like 60 to 70% junk. These are the snacks that the babies are going to be getting. Of course, as you have said, the babies want to be eating like all the time because they're at home. They're playing 2 hours, coming back to have a snack, 2 hours, they're coming back to have a snack. So if the healthy snack is not available when they're coming back, they risk going to have all these unhealthy things. Another thing is on the preparation. You see, parents should actually encourage intake of healthier foods by preparing and making them interesting. You see, unfortunately, we have glorified things like fries or things like maybe fried foods because when we serve them with sauce, we serve them with like colorful things, so the babies are more likely to want to eat them. Then you serve them ugali, plain ugali, and
blue band on the side.
And you leave them like that. Of course, the baby will not like it. She'll take like two bites and then she'll leave it. So whatever you're preparing, make sure that it's interesting first visually, because we are creatures of visuals. Like we see first, we eat with our eyes before we can eat with our mouth and our stomach. And babies are actually better at it, because what if they don't find something interesting, they might not even want to put it in their mouth. They'll start resisting that particular food. And you risk losing that child to unhealthy eating habits even in the future, because they'll have that perception that this type of food is yuckish and I should not be eating it. So availability is the most important thing, and how you're preparing and serving it. And of course, we need to culture a habit or a relationship with food. Let your kids see you eating those healthy foods. Don't cook for the babies like the chapati, or you cook for them the githeri and then you're eating fries. You know, there are parents who do that. It's quite unfortunate because they learn by watching what you're doing. So if you're eating the healthier foods, your baby are more likely to eat your healthier foods. Have fruits, let them see you having the fruit, and then make it like a family time to do that.
All right, Lillian, now as we wind up, of course, from the union's perspective, are Kenyans really well-versed with the importance of nutrition and why it's important, especially during the festive season?
There's a lot of gap because, again, Kenyans, let me just take you back to social media. You go to Facebook, and then there's a group for maybe foods and stuff, and then the poster will start by disclaimer and saying nutritionist keep off, because they want they want to normalize unhealthy eating habits. So Kenyans have that negativity when it comes to behavior change, when it comes in line to food. There's a lot of gap that needs to be bridged between us, the dietitians, and the masses, that is Kenyans. Because there's a percentage that actually understand what is supposed to be done, and then there are others who are actually going with the flow. What is popular is what goes. So if I come to you today and I say, let's say, I don't want to mention a brand, let's say this particular juice or this particular drink is good, then their parents will actually go with that flow, and they'll start feeding their babies with that. They'll start packing that as snack. So we need to change that perspective a lot, because nutrition, if it's not gotten right at the population, we are going to have more. And you see the burden, and you have seen the confusion that is coming up with the social insurance and such. So if we don't get it right from the community and the preventive and the population level, we're going to have a lot of complications at the clinical setup. So we have to get it right from there.
Awesome. Stephen, now how do we set the tone for healthier eating moving forward? What next after Christmas?
Well, it is important to get back to regular routine as quick as you can, because Without that, the habit you developed during the Christmas festive season could become routine for you. It could grow into a habit. You know, if definitely, probably there's a lot of overbuying of foods right now. And most of those foods won't be out by the end of the festive season. So we'll have a lot of stale foods that are that remain after the festive season, the extra foods, and now you will compensate by trying to eat much so that you can finish that stock. Now that is the problem. So it is best to organize yourself early enough so that you don't do the last minute rush where you have to buy fast food so that you compensate because of lack of time. It is good to organize yourself, be in a group where people perform different functions so that by come January, you can easily transit to regular schedule.
All right, thank you so much, Lillian and Stephen, for the insightful and practical discussion on how to embrace healthy eating during this festive season. From our team here, To The Point, we hope that you've gotten a little bit of tips to ensure that you are mindful eating during this festive season. From us here, the team, To The Point, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Have a wonderful night. My name is Odida, and on the sign language interpretation desk is Catherine Simalui. Have a good night and see you next time, inshallah.